Hey, in this quick guide I'll show you how to kill all the 3 Dagannoth kings efficiently. With this method you can expect around 60 to 80 kills per trip. If you want to follow along with this guide, you'll need to have some high stats and good gear, but I'm also going to make 2 extra guides, one for medium leveled players and one for just killing Rex on a low level account. So if you're interested in those guides, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and if you're watching this in the future, there should be a link in the description. To follow along with this guide, you'll want to have high overall combat stats. I recommend you are at least level 85 in all combat skills and have 70 prayers so you can use piety. 74 prayer would of course be ideal, so you could use rigor. Since every king is weak to a different attack style, we'll need to bring quite a few switches. I bring around 3 switches for every style, which seems to strike a nice balance, but you can of course bring fewer or more switches if you want. You really want to do this on task so you can make use of the Slayer helm. If you want to try this off task, you can swap this out for a Serp helm. I bring a Blessed D'hide body and Bandos Tacit to get a good mix of ranged offense and ranged defense bonuses. Use the Primordial Boots and a Berserker Ring over other items that would give you extra range bonus, because these 2 will give you extra max hits. I bring the Barrows Gloves because it's good for both ranged and melee, my Fire Cape and an Amulet of Torture. My weapon of choice is a cheap Tentacle Whip, but if you have more cash to spend, of course get yourself a Scythe or a Rapier. For my ranged switch, I bring the Necklace of Anguish with a Blowpipe and my Assembler. If you want, you can also use the Bofa here, and you might want to try to slot in some extra crystal armor as well. For the mage switch, I have the Trident of the Swamp, an Occult and a Tormented Bracelet. A Sanguinesti staff would be great, so you're guaranteed to never run out of hit points, but it's really not required. And if you don't have the money for the Tormented Bracelet, I recommend just swapping this out for one of the Imbued God Capes. For the rest of the inventory, I bring 2 super combats and 2 range pots, an Antidote, 3 brews, 2 sharks and 9 super restores. Don't forget your pet rock and rune thrownaxes to get past the doors, and your teleport there. If you want, you can teleport to Waterbirth Island, drop a food, take an extra food from the bank and teleport back to save you an extra inventory slot, and use the Rada's Blessing to teleport out. You could also consider dropping 1 range and 1 super combat potion for extra food or super restores, but I find having those 8 sips very useful. If you're using a charged Serpentine Helm, you of course won't need to bring the antidotes. If you've lost your pet rock, you can get one back from Ascalon in Relica. Some optional items you could consider are a rune pouch with spells for Blood Barrage to heal up. I've brought this in the past, but I rarely needed the extra healing. Some people bring an Explorer's Ring to alch some of the drops, which could increase your profit by around 100k, but I just find it annoying, and an SGS for even more sustain, but I sustain just fine with my blowpipe specs. To get there, just use a Waterbirth teleport, or alternatively you could teleport to Relica with the Sea Boots or a redirected house tablet and take the boat on the westernmost dock to travel to Waterbirth Island. I like to drink a dose of stamina potion in the bank before teleporting. Then do a quick lap around the island and enter the cave. Continue northeast and drop your pet rock on one of the platforms, stand on the other platform and open the door. You can leave your pet rock if you want, so you have an extra inventory slot for loot. Then continue further east. Stand next to the northern door and use your Rune thrownaxe special attack on the western door to knock them all down. Then just go down the ladder and run through the tunnels. I'll speed up some footage right now if you want to follow along, but I recommend to just copy the Tilemarkers, which you can find in the description below, into your RuneLite client by right-clicking Import on the world map. This will highlight which ladder you need to take, and I'll also add some text on the markers with which prayer you have to use for the next room. The only damage you can't mitigate while traversing through the tunnels are from the Dagannoths, because they hit with ranged and melee. So if you have to do some walking to reserve your run energy, just don't walk in the Dagannoth rooms. I'm actually not 100% sure if you should pray ranged or melee versus the Dagannoths. If you know, let me know in the comments below and I'll make sure the tiles are labeled correctly. Once you've made it to the entrance, you can hop over this little branch here, where you can peek in the room to make sure you're not crashing anyone, and you can also hop if you're standing behind this corner. Before we go any further, let's have a quick look at these 3 bosses. Rex is the regular greyish brown one and hits with melee. He has a max hit of 26 and is weak to magic. Supreme is the green spiked one and hits with ranged. He has a max hit of 30 and is weak to melee. Prime is a red spiky boy and hits with magic. He has max hit of a whopping 50 and is weak to ranged. Okay, so when you're getting attacked by all 3 kings, you will surely get wrecked, so we'll try to always have 2 kings dead while we fight the 3rd one. The order I like to kill them in is Supreme first, then Rex, then Prime, and repeat. There is also a ton of Spinelips in the water surrounding the bosses. These will hit you with ranged and magic attacks, but they're pretty inaccurate, so no big deal. They will however poison you, which is why we need to bring the antidote potion. Because Prime has the highest max hit, I pray Protect from Magic and go down the ladder. There's 2 ways of going about this first rotation. Either you go up and down the ladder a couple of times, in the hopes that Supreme comes close to the ladder, and Prime and Rex stay far away, so you can just switch to Protect from ranged and kill Supreme. This might take a lot of tries and could potentially waste a ton of your food if you get unlucky. If you're good at the game, you can also just run in and take aggro from both Supreme and Prime, and prayer flick between them. If you want to do this, you have to turn on the correct protection prayer as soon as they start their attack animation. If they happen to be attacking on the same tick, you can try going up and down the ladder again, or you can try to run underneath one of them to get them to attack at different times. I prefer using the first strategy because I'm bad at the game. Once you've killed Supreme, try to stay to the south of the room so you don't take aggro from Prime. Equip your mage gear and use Protect from melee to kill Rex. If you happen to get aggroed by Prime, just quickly slap on Protect from magic and get Rex in a safe spot as shown on screen now. Now Prime is the last one remaining, so switch to your ranged gear and finish him off. If you don't get crazy unlucky, you'll be able to blowpipe him down before Supreme spawns. Once you finished off Prime, put your melee gear and Protect from ranged on, so you're ready for Supreme's respawn to start the cycle over again. By the way, you shouldn't be wasting your time trying to safe spot Rex every kill. We only did this because we were under attack by Prime. Normally, just flick on Protect from melee when killing him. One last very important tip I want to give you, which for some reason all the other guides failed to mention. The most annoying situation that can happen is when you don't kill Prime in time and Supreme respawns hitting you in the back. To prevent this from happening, I make sure to wait to kill Supreme by around 50 seconds left on Prime's respawn timer. This usually gives me just enough time to finish off Rex and swap gear for Prime. If for example you get some good hits on Supreme and you kill him with 1 minute and 10 seconds left on Prime's respawn timer, this will give you 20 seconds less time to finish off Prime before Supreme will respawn. The only downside to this is that Rex, his respawn timer, will move closer to Supreme, his respawn timer, but that's not a problem. If you are slow on killing Supreme and Rex should respawn, just stand to the west of Supreme when killing him, close to the ladder, and you'll see that Rex will pretty much never aggro you here. I hope you could follow that last bit, as it's kind of hard to explain. TLDR, kill Supreme with 50 seconds left on Prime's respawn timer. For the rewards, we're of course here for the rings. They all drop at a rate of 1 in 128, with the Archers and Berserker ring being the most expensive ones. They also drop a whole crapload of other items at a rate of 1 in 128, so if you're one of those people that say like, oh my god, that could have been a ring, make sure you memorize this entire list. You'll also be making a ton of money from the Dagannoth bones, that is if you have the Fremennik Elite Diaries completed, which makes them drop in noted form. If you like my guides, make sure to subscribe, and if you want to, you can also become a channel member by clicking the join button. This works similarly to Patreon and will let you support your favorite content creator. Anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.